go to Wyoming, I'll just take him up there. That's all I wanted to do was take him home and bury him.
You want to take him though, huh? You're gonna go
It's
get him?
I want to carry him home.
Welcome back to the channel. Today is Friday, May 9th, 2025, and today's tale is one that will possibly alter your perception of Kody and Robyn Brown forever. What I'm about to tell you is about deeply personal revelations surrounding the tragic death of Garrison Brown and the reasons why, supposedly, the Brown family has abandoned Kody and Robyn. Hang on tight, because what you're going to be told is not from the tabloids. This is from a very reliable source who was directly involved in Garrison's National Guard memorial in late March 2024. And the facts are appalling. In the event that you remember, Kody previously stated on the show that he wanted to bring Garrison home and bury him in the ground. But as the source I have, someone who worked closely with the National Guard's Nevada Service Memorial Team, told me this remark seriously disturbed all those involved. You see, the actual desires of Garrison and his family were absolutely different. Let that sink in. Kody's public words didn't align with what actually transpired behind the scenes, and this insider, who was deeply engaged in planning the service, felt compelled to come forward because of the emotional burden of what they saw. Why is this significant? Because this could finally answer what McKelty was getting at when she said something awful occurred at the funeral that led to a serious family split. Whatever happened, she said, was so traumatic that it pushed the rest of the family further away from Kody and Robyn. Kody has allegedly made 0 attempts since that day to make amends with any of his children. Things have actually deteriorated further. So, what did happen then? Garrison Brown was a member of the Nevada National Guard. Like all military personnel, he was offered the opportunity to make out a will, grant power of attorney, and specify what should occur in case of disaster. This is usual procedure for the U.S. Armed Forces, and in Garrison's instance, he went through these procedures meticulously. Now, here is where it gets serious. The U.S. military has a whole department of mortuary services that deals with everything from cremation to the 21 gun salute and military honors, such as, and the coordination of memorial services. The will, the insurance details, and any last wishes are all recorded and passed on to the family. And the individual who called me, they were heavily invested in this whole ordeal. I personally confirmed their credentials and their relationship to the memorial event. What they told me next may astonish you, or perhaps, regrettably, it won't. Garrison's military service was coordinated in accordance with military procedure. All logistics were taken care of by the Mortuary Services Team, which is based in Virginia. Garrison's last wishes were respected. He preferred cremation, not burial. His ashes were respectfully handed over to Janelle and her sons, who kept the urn in their possession during the ceremony. But while making arrangements for the service, rumors were going around in the family. Kody wanted to hire cameras to record the memorial for TLC. Let that sink in. During a moment intended to be dedicated to a lost son and brother, Kody purportedly attempted to make it into a TV moment. The family was appalled. One of Janelle's family members, not her kids, but someone else in the family, had words with Kody, the source reports. They were clear: no cameras, no TLC, and absolutely no Robyn. Why so great an opposition to Robyn? The reason is tragic. According to reports, Garrison had an abusive and bitter relationship with her. He did not want her at the service, and the family was adamant they would honor his wishes. This source asserts that there was a more unofficial tension at work, a perception among some members of the family that the manner in which Kody and Robyn treated Garrison, both on and off the television show, led to his emotional distress. They assert that the bullying, the ostracism, and the manner in which he was represented publicly resulted in serious mental health issues, and that's only the start, and that's where things went horribly wrong. Due to Garrison's estrangement from Kody and Robyn, the family had made it abundantly clear they didn't want either of them at the memorial. But Kody, apparently, decided to disregard their wishes. Even though he was told directly not to come, and specifically not to bring Robyn, he came anyway. But that's not all. The National Guard and the family had agreed both that the memorial should be kept private. No cameras, no show, just a quiet moment to memorialize Garrison's life. When the day arrived, however, and the service was conducted in Nevada, officially an open event, Kody arrived flanked by Robyn and TLC camera crew in tow. What occurred after, as told to me by my source, altered the atmosphere in the room immediately. They said it was like air had been drawn out, like the whole mood changed as Kody entered. He and Robyn didn't come in with stealth or reverence. No, they reportedly came in as if they were walking onto a red carpet, mic'd up, cameras rolling, treating the hallowed memorial like business as usual on set. They were angry. The source revealed that Kody's, Robyn's, and the TLC cast's presence made them feel intruded upon. They said that the couple marched in as if they were above everyone else, as celebrities who want to be looked up to rather than being humble. And worst of all, this open disregard for the wishes of the family made it a betrayal to Garrison himself. Recall, however, that Garrison had a tormented and difficult past with the show. He'd made strong declarations about not wanting to be involved. His last text allegedly spoke of the show in derogatory terms. For Kody to make Garrison's goodbye into a plot point for his own story was perceived by many as nothing less than exploitation. And then another bombshell was dropped. Kody once said on the show that he wanted to put him in the ground. But legally, according to this insider, Kody had no right to do so. Here's why. Despite what Janelle once said on television, the person responsible for handling all of Garrison's legal documents told me Kody's name does not appear on Garrison's birth certificate. Legally speaking, that meant Kody wasn't actually acknowledged as Garrison's father. No paperwork, no paternity testing, no rights as a parent. And in Garrison's will, Kody didn't get a mention, not even a whisper. Garrison had named Janelle as his power of attorney and his executor. All official duties were left to her. Kody wasn't included on the insurance. He wasn't mentioned in the will. He got nothing. It was an open, intentional choice. As the source reported, there had been concerns privately that Kody and Robyn would attempt to pursue Garrison's estate. But Garrison had been expecting that and safeguarded his mother and brothers by having everything in order in advance. It was his last act of independence and protection. That preparation was what made the difference. Thanks to Garrison's detailed instructions, Janelle could step in fully empowered. She organized the memorial, oversaw the cremation, and controlled the settlement of the estate, which included selling Garrison's house. All had been set up so that interference couldn't happen, and it did not. At the memorial itself, Garrison's urn was in the hands of Janelle and his brothers. No one, not even Kody, had a say. And the family? They didn't talk to him. They didn't talk to Robyn. They just did as Garrison wanted in silence. But Kody wasn't there only to bid farewell. The source claims something much more sinister. He was there for the spectacle. They say Kody's appearance and the cameras of TLC served one purpose: to capture a plot. He wanted to act as a sorrowful father. He wanted to create a redemptive story arc. He wanted the people to view him in a sympathetic light. But behind the cameras, it was all an act. Let it sink in. This wasn't about grieving over a son. This was about creating sympathy on the cheap. And if you're wondering who controls the narrative on TLC's Sister Wives, this source believes the answer is now crystal clear: Kody Brown. They say he's calling the shots, shaping the edit, and pushing the storyline that benefits him most. But Garrison's legacy? That wasn't for sale. His final wishes were honored, not by Kody, but by the family who truly stood by him. But Kody's motives, my informant maintains, extended well beyond presenting himself as a bereaved father. This was not merely about grieving, it was about creating a story. According to them, Kody came to that memorial not to honor Garrison, but to film a scene. A carefully crafted moment designed to show the world that not only was he a heartbroken dad, but that the rest of the family was being cruel and alienating, especially to Robyn. That was the actual motive for bringing her, they say. Not because she had wanted to go, honestly, the accuser alleges Robyn despised Garrison, but so Kody could have his drama. He could have his foil. And what greater way to obtain it than to position Robyn as victim and himself as doting husband besieged? But this was precisely what the family had dreaded. They didn't want this moment broadcast on TV. They didn't want it to be about Kody. They didn't want to witness Garrison's memory warped into some sentimental plot twist. They wanted to respect his wishes because Garrison had specified he didn't want any part of the show or Kody and Robyn. And yet, Kody brought the show anyway. Some relatives flat out refused to get mic'd. Others, particularly the women who were still under contract to the TLC network, perhaps had no option. Nobody was able to prevent the cameras from rolling once they started. Kody had ensured as much. The atmosphere in the room? Tight doesn't even get close. Once inside, Kody allegedly attempted to sit in the front row, directly beside Janelle, front and center for the cameras. He desired the optics, the grieving father sitting next to the grieving mother. But the family refused. That seat was Hunter's, an Air Force pilot and a son who had been in Garrison's life. It was Hunter who sat beside Janelle. Kody and Robyn were situated lower down the row, and they remained there. Meanwhile, across the aisle, Mary was sitting with Gwendolyn and Bea, at Gwendolyn's own request. She needed support. She didn't ask for Kody or Robyn. She asked for Mary. Let that sink in, and then came the final heartbreaking moment. In military tradition, if the service member dies unmarried, flag and medals are presented to the mother. That was Janelle. Kody, whether he wanted it or not, had no rights. And from my source, he didn't just get left out. 2/3 of it, he made a scene about it. He wanted the medals. He wanted the flag. But it was Janelle who was presented with them. And what about her sons? Logan, Gabriel, and Hunter. Her description of them as calm, gentle, and unbendingly loyal stood by her side the whole time. They stood intentionally, guardingly, creating a human barrier between their mother and the one they figured had no business being there. They were emphatic. Kody would not come anywhere near her, but it didn't end there. The source says Kody's sorrow, if you could even call it that, was all staged. They say during filming, when the cameras rolled, Kody and Robyn fought to force themselves to cry, to be as sad as possible in front of the camera. Off camera, none of it was real. A man pretending for a script he had to fulfill, and when the memorial was finished, the urn holding Garrison's remains was turned over to Janelle and her boys, not Kody. That's where it gets even more sinister. The family doesn't know how Kody came to be discussing burying Garrison in Wyoming. They don't even know if he ever got to see the actual remains. Perhaps he was given a small amount. Perhaps not even that, but something symbolic. According to them, the Wyoming burial was not in the plan. It seemed to them like Kody wasn't getting the footage or attention he sought at the service. So he conjured up a new angle, a personal pilgrimage to lay his son to rest, a script made for the cameras, a bereaved father taking his boy home. But to those who knew Garrison best, that wasn't reality. That was television. But the Kody you saw on TV, the one attempting to fake tears and don the guise of a bereaved father, that wasn't the Kody who arrived in person. And Robyn? The woman faking concern on TV, as those in attendance would have it, was a stranger to the grief in the room. What the family saw in person was a cold, calculated act, not genuine grief. From the start, the dominant sense was obvious. They didn't want them there. They wanted to respect Garrison's wishes. He did not want to be used. He did not want Kody or Robyn to be included. But Kody showed up anyway, and not out of love or bereavement, but out of footage. Most of Garrison's siblings were livid. They weren't talking to their father, and they weren't keeping their anger under wraps. Because this wasn't family business. This was about ratings. This was about Kody building a scene. The devastated father left behind by his children, and Robyn, the vilified stepmother, shunned and maligned. But off camera? Far from it. Witnesses report Kody and Robyn rolled in like royalty, waiting for the room to bow before them. But it didn't. No one treated them special. Because in that room, they weren't special. They didn't have any kind of special connection to anyone in that room. Even Kody's own family members were reported to have refused to talk to him. Let that sink in. This was not a grieving father. This was a man attempting to rewrite history on tape. And now the family is anxious. They fear how this will all be represented in the new season. They were appalled when Kody spoke of putting Garrison in the ground, something they claim disrespected both Garrison's memory and the military procedure already adhered to. Garrison had been explicit. He wanted to be cremated. He did not want a circus. He did not want his tale told. He wanted quiet. And yet, Kody might have disobeyed those wishes. If he did receive any portion of Garrison's remains, the family is convinced that it was not out of respect, but manipulation. For if Garrison was to be buried, particularly under military honors, there was a proper way to do so, and none of them were adhered to. Instead, this fellow, who wouldn't even let Garrison into his house when he was alive, now used his death as a storyline. Other members of the family were in sharp contrast. Mary, frequently depicted as cold or challenging on the show, was characterized by several witnesses as warm, kind, and actually supportive, and the children? Respectful, empathetic, and looking out for one another. Only Kody and Robyn made a moment of bereavement into a circus, a show. Mortuary staff, who worked so tirelessly to treat fallen troops with honor, were allegedly outraged. They pride themselves on presenting families with a dignified goodbye, but they stood agog as Kody treated it as just another scene to film. And here's the toughest truth of all. Kody was asked to stay away. Robyn was told specifically to stay away. Garrison didn't want them around. He didn't want this taped. He didn't want his dying spun into an episode. But they arrived anyway. They disregarded the appeals. They disregarded the wishes of a soldier, a brother, a son, because at the end of the day, for Kody, the show has to go on. And now the concern in the family is that this tragedy will be spun into yet another false account, that Kody and Robyn were victims of an abusive family, that they were neglected, ostracized, loved too little. That's not what happened. Kody wasn't there because the family was mean. He wasn't there because he'd done so much damage. Because every time he appears, he's doing it for a camera, not the people he purports to care about. This is the message this source instructed me to pass along. Don't buy into it. Don't believe the tears. Don't believe the victim narrative. Garrison was a human being, a son, a brother, a veteran, and above all, a human being who was more than worthy of better than this. He needed love. He needed dignity. He needed peace. And so they're standing up and giving their voices and their stories because of it. Let me know what you think in the comments below. As always, this story's shared from their point of view, alleged, and for educational purposes only. Don't forget, our servicemen are human. Garrison lived a meaningful life, and even when he died, he was due a little more respect than he got. If you enjoyed this video, like it, subscribe if you are not already subscribed, and don't forget to press the bell so you never miss an update. Thanks for watching. Take care, everybody.